Good afternoon, Felesiti Gilespi. It's a pleasure to have you today here. We have had a pleasure to listen to your presentation at the conference today organized by the Ministry of Science and Education of Azerbaijan. And you have shared very impressive points about early childhood education overall. And based on your experience, we would like to ask you more questions just to summarize and to build the overall idea about ECC. So the first question would be, what does the empirical research say about the importance of early childhood education?
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be in Azerbaijan. My first visit here, it's been a real joy. I think the empirical evidence is really clear that neuroscience tells us that the first years of life, the early years, are absolutely critical. They're the foundation for later life chances. And that we know that 85% of language is in place by the age of 3, and that the consequences of a strong early years education, early childhood education, is really impactful on later life chances. So for instance, we know that a child's developmental score at the age of 22 months, before they're even 2, is an accurate predictor of their educational attainment at 26 years. And we know that the quality of the earliest interactions, even from babyhood, really are what makes the difference in the way that the brain develops, in the architecture of the brain. And so that's why we are focusing more and more on informing early childhood educators about this neuroscience, but also trying to engage parents so that they fully understand just how critical those little conversations and moments they have with their babies and children really are.
And you've mentioned the parents, their understanding. So in your experience, how well are parents aware about the importance of ECE and its impact on future development of human?
I think it varies from family to family and from area to area. I can't speak for Azerbaijani families, but we know in the UK that there is a lot of lack of awareness about what strong development in early childhood looks like. So for instance, we do annual research into the state of school readiness in the number of children who are beginning school education developmentally, where they should be for their age. And we discover that the numbers starting school in that state of developmental readiness is very poor, is going down, and that specifically parents are confused about what being school ready is. Many parents think that a lot of the things that perhaps educators would assume parents would be taking responsibility for will actually be taken care of by schools. So for instance, in the UK last year, we found that 1 in 4 children were starting not toilet trained. 1 in 3 was unable to eat or dress themselves independently. And this is when they're starting school at 4.5. So I think the most important thing is to really be clear with parents what those expectations are, and also some of the things that they can do, some of the things they're already doing that are fantastic for ensuring their children develop as they should in a really positive way. But that often parents, if people don't tell them, often they don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And speaking about the context of the UK, so what is the best way to raise the awareness about ECC for parents and caregivers?
So I think what we have to remember is that education doesn't start at school. We are all learners from birth. From the moment we're born, even in the womb, we are learning. And the very earliest interactions we have with our babies, we call them serve and return, those when the baby makes a noise and the parent looks and connects and makes a noise back. that conversation that you're having with a baby long before they can talk is the basis for their brain development. It's when the neurons, the million neural connections a second when in that first year of life, that's what makes those connections happen. And that for parents, getting the information that says this connection is critical right from day one is really, really important. And that school, you don't wait to talk to your child and engage with your child until they can engage back. The way you understand that the way they engage is by being engaged with. And so it must all come from the parent and from the educator, that this initiation of conversation, this observation of the child and the following of their cues, so that they are having these interactions in a positive, loving, nurturing way is really important. And I think in terms of helping parents to understand, just talking to them, they're the first educator of their children. The teacher comes at school, the early years educator comes in the nursery or the kindergarten, but it's the parent who is the first teacher of their child. And so we all have to work together. We all have to be a team around the child to ensure that what happens in school continues in the home, and that what happens in the home is informed and loving and secure.
Thank you very much for your valuable thoughts, and I'm pretty sure that those important points that you have noted today at the conference with your presentation and speech will have impact on the educators that participate at the conference, and it will be some sort of food for thought for everyone
I hope so.
today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.